Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger, and today we have an awesome conversation with my buddy and returning guest, Stephen Hibbert. See, he's actually, if you remember, the one that won the auction that I did in, I think, 2017. If you remember my story in 2012, I won an auction that Jim Cockrum did on eBay for his book 101 Free Marketing. And so 5 years later, I did my own auction to benefit my brother-in-law and sister-in-law's orphanage in Guatemala. And Stephen was the winner of that one. And he also had lunch with me instead of a phone call, and we've been friends ever since. But he and I are launching a new project, and the Unfrazzled Entrepreneur podcast, to help those people who are struggling with overwhelm, with being frazzled, with trying to get their business to another level, but you feel like you're just constantly hitting that ceiling of like, I can't do any more on my own. I can't scale anymore on my own. What do I do? Well, outsourcing is the key. It's been the key in my business. And we just have a fun conversation talking about his story, talking about his entrepreneurial journey. And it's just lots and lots of golden nuggets in this episode. If you want to learn more about our new venture with outsourcing, we have a new site called Wingman VAs. We want to come alongside you, provide you with a virtual assistant that can help you focus on those things in your business that only you can do. Go to wingmanvas.com, wingmanvas.com. Be happy to serve you. Really looking forward to this new project with him. I think it'll really bless a lot of people who are ready to take that step into outsourcing. And you're probably ready even before you think you are. Another really cool thing about this is it's a ministry for us because we're able to provide jobs for these awesome, hardworking folks. And it's just really cool. Really excited about this. I know you're going to love this episode. Here it is. Stephen, welcome back to Streams of Income. So good to see you.
What's going on? How we doing?
So I had you and your brother on lots of episodes ago. I don't even remember what episode that was. I'll find it, stick it in the show notes for those of you guys that wanted to hear their story together, which was fun. On that episode, we talked about, was it print on demand? I think. Yeah, because you guys were doing a
little bit of how we got started and what we were doing at the time, and then the team of VAs and trying to position our business and grow it in different directions.
Yeah, I think the title was something about product that you don't have to touch, $0 product that you don't even have to touch, which is cool. But that's not what we're talking about today. So we are talking about feeling frazzled, overwhelmed, and you and I got a new project that we're launching together. And so we'll talk about that here in a minute. But catch us up. What's going on since we last talked, but also just tell me some of your story. Let's go back to when you jumped into this entrepreneurial journey.
I guess I'll reverse back to as far back as like the entrepreneurial journey started. I think from the very early on, I knew that I was creative. I was always having thoughts of different things, but not knowing really where to put that creative energy. I saw my father pull car parts and then fix the cars and then sell the cars. I knew that I didn't have the skills to be able to like buy a used car, fix it up, sell it at 15, 16. But I was like, I can at least go to the junkyard with him, buy the part, and then try to sell the part. That kind of started this entrepreneurial journey. I think from that, it was never like a passion of mine to do that, but it was an enjoyable piece. So I think I found opportunities where I could spend time with people and be around them and then do a thing that I could earn money. So that car parts then led to selling online. The selling online was just like hanging out with friends, doing different things, going to stores, buying it, selling online, making a profit. And then Nathaniel came in and saw what I was doing. He's 10 years younger than me. So it was just like a lot of things that we were testing and trying. He's a really good graphic designer. We really started working well together around the time that merch by Amazon was a new thing. And it was very easy for him to just make a bunch of designs and then try to sell them. And I could use all my past skills of selling online and SEO and understanding how to make listings and the traffic driving opportunities and doing that to make it a business. And then we turned that into helping people. And I think as I look back, that's like the key to a lot of my success is just finding opportunities to help people. And I think that's like my driving factor.
Yeah.
A lot of things that I do is just, is this going to be helping people? I can continue on. I didn't want to cut you off if you have any questions.
I was going to something just that was intriguing about your story is that, the car parts, that wasn't something that you were like, oh, I just love car parts.
No.
But it was just something, it was your low hanging fruit was right in front of you. That's similar to my story with furniture. I never grew up loving furniture. I mean, you sleep on it, you sit on it. I have a piece of furniture in my office, but I don't love furniture. I don't really care that much about it. But when I moved here to Texas, that was my low hanging fruit opportunity. My wife and mother-in-law were already selling furniture on Craigslist. Hey, let's see if we can blow this thing up because I don't have to recreate the wheel here. That sounds similar to what you did. You were just kind of leveraging your dad's skill set, your dad's access to those things. You thought, hey, I can sell this. It's right in front of me. Not my passion, but it can bring me some money.
Yeah, I think the journey goes through different cycles, but I think that first is just you need to make money. So you find the thing that will at least make you money. Then when you get some of your time back and you have some money, then I think you can start asking yourself deeper questions. Do I like this? Do I enjoy this? I think it's been for a long time. No, but I've just done it because I think being an entrepreneur, I get good at like having an idea, launching the idea and then making money with it. And then it's like, I talk to you a lot about this. I love building the house and then I tend to burn the house down and move on to the next. I know the advice is always build and then bolt onto your business instead of bouncing, but I have a very
not burn.
Yeah. I like to bounce and burn is my technique. I think it's led to a lot of interesting opportunities, but I think I just want to thank you again too. Is just like you asked if I wanted to come and present at one of your events and then talk, and then it's led into a whole nother direction. Yeah. The consulting and teaching is like, oh, here's something that I enjoy. I can now put these two things together. I can make money and enjoy the thing at the same time. And I think that's kind of where these roads have split and come back together. I now have realized that a lot of the advice, the help that I'm trying to give people is very good advice. And if they apply it, it really impacts their like ROI, the actual thing. It's like their bottom line is being affected. But I realize now, especially after coming out of COVID, like everybody seems a bit overwhelmed and I'm attempting to find ways to solve that problem. So I think the conversations that we've been having are like, ooh, here's an interesting thing to do that we can do together. I love working with you and it seemed like a perfect fit for being able to help people and then work with Ryan, who I enjoy working with.
I definitely want to get there. We'll get to the overwhelm because that's the big reason I wanted to talk to you about. But some just interesting things to chat that you brought up, that it wasn't your passion. Do you think it could have ever became your passion? Like if you just become wildly successful, you were selling car parts on eBay, which is what you were doing. Could you see yourself still doing that today if you had a team of people, a warehouse, a system, a process in place? Or do you think, I would have gotten bored a long time ago and would have burned it down?
I think if there were different circumstances, I think if it was really my father doing one thing and I took it in a completely different direction. I think if he understood what I was doing and saw the potential of it, which even back then, like I had no idea what I was doing. I was just selling and trying to figure it out. But I think if we could have at that point come to a common ground and then like built a business together where we both have a garage, he's fixing and selling, I'm getting the parts and I'm selling the parts, and we build it into like an auto business, maybe because it would have been working with my father and I maybe would have loved that and built a team and done that and grown that business. I don't know if it would have turned into like a warehouse and the online business as much. It would have turned probably into more of like a custom shop. And I like racing. Maybe that passion would have been fed a little bit more. I think as I get older and realize like I have a problem with speed, that's why I don't have a motorcycle now. I can't keep the wheel down. It's like I know I'm a little recluse there, so I try to draw back from things that could be possibly like life ending. So maybe it would have led to other things, but I don't know. It's an interesting conversation to go, could this have turned into a passion? I think under the right circumstances, but as I dig into it, I think it is really, is it the person I'm working with that I enjoy? And am I helping somebody? Because I think that's why like me and Nathaniel's business worked really well, because it was like, I really love working with my brother and I love helping with people. Those are two things that are just like, to the nines. I love that. And that's why I'm
Yeah.
very passionate about our new project. And it is like both of those boxes are being checked. I think this is
Yeah.
the passion piece that I can continue to go back to.
Yes. Wow. Mm. Seems like every time I'm on a call with you, you're sending me messages back with like you're getting
More
more
ideas.
and more. Well, you're getting more ideas for sure, but that's normal for us as entrepreneurs. But you seem to be getting more and more clarity about your journey.
Yes.
And so talk about that for a second, because like when you were first started, you're doing the car parts to make money. It was literally just to make money, and a lot of people are there, and that's totally fine. That's what furniture was for me. It was a stepping stone into other things. And we essentially burned that down too. And we sold it off. We sold it off. And so, but we're not selling furniture anymore. Another option would have been to continue that, hire some staff, get a warehouse, but still that would have occupied a part of my brain. And I didn't really want that. And so it just made more sense to completely divorce us from that situation, from that business. Talk about the clarity piece, that even like years of, you've been doing this for several years now, and you're still getting more and more clarity about what you enjoy and how to build a business around that, rather than just going after opportunities because they're there. You could go back to selling car parts on eBay if you wanted to. If you and your wife desperately needed to make money, you have that skill set, you could go back to do that. Well, why aren't you? Well, it's because that's not your passion. You've gotten to a place where you no longer have to make money right now. And so it's freed up your creativity. It's freed up your, just freed up your mind to think about, well, what do I really want to do here? Because I'm not struggling to make my ends meet anymore. So you can have fun and be creative and try new things, right?
Yeah, I guess I never like thought of it as like, where is my turning point? It was like a constant adjustment. And I think that constant adjustment came from running into those things where it's like, I'm not enjoying this. I think I've been very good at understanding my success is normally tied very closely to the joy that I'm getting out of the thing, which is, I don't know if that's common or uncommon, but for me, it's definitely been true.
Yeah.
It was very enjoyable getting the car parts, doing that with my father because I was doing it with him. Then as soon as it turned into like, it's lucrative and I can do this as a business, now I need to do this more. And it snowed and everything was frozen. And I had to go out there by myself. And it was like
Michigan, right?
Yeah. It was like clearly like, oh, I don't like this. Yeah. I can do it for a little while, but I know I cannot like force myself to do something for a long. That's why I like have a hard time having a job. Is like I can't do something for a long period of time if like I don't like it. I don't know if it's I'm just like a broken person in that. But I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit.
I think there's how many people are out there that are listening to this right now that go to a job that's making ends meet for them, but they hate it. Probably a lot. Well, okay, let me ask you this, and this is why these interviews are fun.
I don't know if I answered that last question. Sorry, I just
real quick. I want to jump in now. Then, if you want to answer the last, I don't even know. I'm just having fun hanging out with you. Would your situation be different if you were married at the time? Like, would you have been? Because that's where some people are. Is they're married and they have a family and they don't feel like they can be as creative and as risk taking, and they have the eBay car part business, or they're selling on Amazon, or they have a full-time job that's bringing in money, and that it's not really my thing. It's not like what I really want to be doing. The job's great, it's okay. Sure, I'd love to be doing something else, but that's a big risk when I have my family to take care of. I don't want to be irresponsible. Do you think you would have still? I think you still would have, knowing you, I think you still would have figured out a way to, you would not have been happy and you would not have stuck there, but
for sure. I think even when I was young, I had multiple jobs just in searching for a thing that I could do. We've talked about this a little bit, not on this podcast, but before, of just going like, I am semi jealous of the people that like, I've always wanted to be a veterinarian, and I knew that from very young age. It was like I never felt like I had a thing that I was like, I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be it was like, what do you want to be? I was like, I don't know, but hopefully I can figure it out. And I think that's what my journey has been, is just a lot of like figuring it out. I think there are certain things that you have to hit. Like you have to make some money. You have to eat. You have to find a place to live if you want to be a part of society. Like these are
Right.
the things that you get. So I think as you climb up that ladder, there are times that you can like ask yourself questions and get clarity. And I think I've been very good at that, of just asking myself a question and going like, why am I frustrated right now? Why is it that I don't like this? Oh, because it's freezing cold outside and I don't want to be doing this. If I was married, maybe I would have been able to like press on deeper to that, because I'd been able to like, okay, I have to do this to pay for the place that me and my wife are staying, or this is going to fall 100% on my wife. So it might have forced my hand to do it longer than I wanted to,
Sure.
but I think I would have still came to that same.
Yeah.
I can only say that now because it is things that I'm currently doing. Me and
Yeah.
Nathaniel had a thriving business, and I decided to shut it down because I was like, there's elements of this that I love, but there's a lot of elements of this that I don't like. I'm not a graphic designer. There's a lot of parts of this business that if Nathaniel wants to take it and run with it, he can, but I have to bow out. And then he was like, well, I don't want to do this without you because you're doing all the things that I don't want to do. And I was like, it was a perfect match, but not for us. And that was when I was married. And I think that's why I'm looking for more reoccurring monthly revenue that's consistent, because now what I'm doing is there's not a lot of consistency. It's like high spikes, which doesn't bother me as an entrepreneur, but it really bothers
your wife. Yeah.
So past, I would say maybe I would have done things longer than I'm doing now, but I think I still would have been bouncing and burning. But it would have held my feet to the fire a little bit longer to make sure that I have enough capital to go through whatever the situation is that we're going through. Because there were a lot of slim times in our marriage when we were early on where it was just like, this is going to hurt us and it's my decision. I want to talk to my wife, but at a certain point, like I have faith in myself where maybe she didn't in the beginning, but I was like, this is what I want to do. So I think now that it's probably not a good habit, but it's been the habit that I've had for a while, she's gotten more used to it. But I think I still would have done it if I was married earlier in this journey.
Yeah. Because you're just wired that way. Yeah.
Married with gasoline and matches.
Right. That's funny that you say you build it then burn it down, because you kind of, but that, you know what, you're very self-aware as far as, you know, what you like, what you don't like, you know, that you enjoy getting the project started and you want to hand it off after that. And so talk about that for a second, because now that it just means that you know what your role is in a certain situation, like with what we're going to be working on and are already working on. You enjoy those initial calls with people that were you know, trying to find out how their business could turn into a membership community. And then you want to take a little bit further, but then it's like, let's find somebody to project manage this and hand it off to make sure that the team. So you know what you enjoy and what you don't, and you're clear about that.
Yeah, I think it's like a positive and negative, right? The building and burning has made me very good at building clarity on finding out the pieces that I like and the pieces that I go, this is definitely either the person I'm working with is going to have to help me with this, or we're going to have to hire somebody else. If I just had the parts business, maybe I wasn't hyper aware of like what I really want to do, but because I've had so many iterations of what I'm attempting to do, I've gotten very clear on looking back and going, why did that fail? Is it just because I got bored? Why did I get bored? What was the thing about it? Did we mess something up? Did we not do enough marketing? Should we have built businesses differently? Reading the book E-Myth 2 was a big like aha moment for us, where it was Nathaniel's an excellent technician. I'm an excellent entrepreneur, but we're missing the third part of having a manager. That was the aha moment for that. But I guess maybe to go a little farther back, when I was 13, 14, I was working from that age. And I think as I had more jobs, it was always just like, the more jobs that I had, I liked working in a restaurant because of these reasons. I like working at this and I'm just trying to find a thing that I could just do for a long period of time. I worked at a hospital at a very young age, and then I saw a guy retire, and I was just talking to him because he was a friend of mine. And then he was like, oh, I got to sell my house. I got to sell my car. I got to downsize because now that I'm retired, I'm not going to make as much as I am working. And I think that like really pressed upon me when I was little. Like, I know I don't want that. Yes. So I'd rather like not have any money or very little money for a long time, and at least enjoy what I have, and whatever level I reach, I can have that for as long as I want. And instead of like giving 50 years to something and then at the end of it, not even be able to afford what I did the 50 years for. It was like scary to me. And I remember having a conversation with my mom, and my mom was like, we've had more conversations because she's living with me now, but she was like, this is always funny to me that you were so young and you had a conversation with somebody so much older than you, and this is what you took out of it, because she never saw it like that. She was just like, this is what happens, where it was like, I've never thought of it, and it was like forced in my face, and I was like, I got to keep searching for what I want, because I know me, I can't do that. I can barely do something for like 6 months. I'm never going to be able to do something for 50 years and then like not have what I've been working for that 50 years. So that was very impressionist on me.
Yeah. Wow. Because most people just accept it. That's what you do. You work for 50 years, 40 years, you retire, and you got to figure out ways to live off of a smaller income. That's just normal, right? Doesn't have to be, though. Yeah, you just chose to buck the system or just question it. Like, is this really what I want? This is normal for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Do you think entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs because they are wired differently? Like, I guess I watch comedy. I like comedians. Comedians feel like they are left out of society and they view things differently. I almost feel like entrepreneurs are the same way. Like we just process information a little differently. I think that's why as soon as I see an entrepreneur, that's why I love helping entrepreneurs, because like we're already thinking differently. It's hard to get answers and solutions to things because they're not necessarily like in a textbooks. They come from other people's experiences, and you just have to talk to enough people to go, I didn't even know that was possible. Yes, let me try that in my own business. And I think that's why entrepreneurs, I think, is like a team game more than just like a single played game. Like you're not versing anybody. You're trying to gather information and help each other out. And I said this before too, like everybody's racing, but there might be a front runner, but that front runner is not the front runner forever. There's always like a jockeying of position. I think the more that you help and get help, then you're able to continue to stay in the race. But if you are not willing to help people, then I think you fall at the race very early. And I think that's what I've enjoyed with my time being in the race, is like, I'm always willing to help people and get help so that I can continue this journey of searching to find what I like. And I think this is why I'm constantly asking myself these clarifying questions. And now coming to this point where I do enjoy helping people. I enjoy the consulting. I really like working with Ryan. This seems like a good fit, the consulting. If we can do this with businesses, show them how to implement these things. They agree. They need marketing. They need email marketing. They need social media. They need a presence. Working on the business and in the business is two different things. And I think a lot of people see this, and then being able to provide them with the hours with somebody else's help to be able to implement that is very exciting to me.
So, I have a lot of e-commerce sellers in my audience, and for some of these, this is totally resonating. Some others, like, I'm just going to continue doing my e-commerce, and I love e-commerce. I want to continue just doing that. For a lot of them, though, I know that that is just what furniture was to me, and what selling car parts on eBay was to you. Is just a stepping stone into other things. So, how would you advise somebody that's on a call? Let's pretend that there's somebody on a call with us right now on a hot seat that's telling us that they have other dreams and goals and visions for, other types of business. They want to have a membership site, or they want to write a book or create a course. How do they do that with, their Amazon business is making them money. So it's a struggle to turn attention away from that, because that's what's bringing in the bucks right now. But it's not their passion. They definitely don't want to burn it down.
Maybe I'm not the best person to give advice.
They want to bold it, but maybe you're not the best person to give advice here. But what would you do if you were back in that position where you were still selling car parts on eBay, but you still you knew you had another passion? Would you just carve out time in your day to, okay, this is my time to sell car parts on eBay. Let's get that done as fast as possible so that I can do what I really enjoy. What do you think that would look like for you?
I think now that I've gotten older, I understand in order to start something else, it requires a lot of time, just like education, time in to build the thing. I see now the benefit of really systemizing whatever I'm about to burn down and hand
or bolt down if you're going to keep it.
No, well, I'm just saying from my point of view, if I was to build a system instead of burning it down, I could have bolted it. Only after I read the book E-Myth that I understood, like, a manager was the missing piece. If I was able to 50-50 split something, or even give somebody 75% of the business and continue to earn some type of revenue, but hand it off, I just didn't see how to do it. and knew that, okay, it's time for me to pivot. The only way that I know how to pivot from looking back is by just jumping into the new thing. The new thing causes the lack of time into this. And then this is why it catches on fire and burns and crashes, because it's nobody's feeding it. So it is a business. You have to put time and energy into it. So I would say, from my past mistakes, if you are an e-commerce seller and you're the one doing everything in your business, find some type of way to get your time back. I know you and Jim talk about like the taping of the boxes. What is the lowest thing that you can hand off to somebody else? What are the things that are $5 to $10 to $15 to $20 an hour things, and give that to somebody else? If you are not passionate about car parts or furniture or an e-commerce business, I would look at what you're doing, what hat you're wearing at whatever time, and then say, is this the best hat for me? Should I hand this off to somebody else? Am I looking for products and I'm just spending a lot of time doing this, and I'm sometimes distracted by looking at social media and whatever else the case may be? But if I pay somebody, then the hours that I pay them, I know for sure they're going into this and I get more products because I'm paying somebody to do this a lot more efficient to me. Or is it like Ryan and Jim say about getting somebody in your house to actually box this stuff up, because boxing stuff up is just time intensive. It's not really the best use of your time as a e-commerce seller. So I would look at the business, try to systemize it, and then find ways to get your time back. It might seem like a huge hurdle in the beginning to hire somebody, but I think as an entrepreneur, it's the biggest scalable piece, because after I did it the first time, it gets way easier to do it the second time. Make a job listing, know where to go, how to hire the person, how to pay for the taxes, like all the other pieces that you're just going to learn the first time. But if you step out in faith that first time, it gets way easier the second time. And then you can go,
totally.
Here's a part of the business that I can easily hand off. This will make me a lot more money because I'll get my time back. But if you can use that to either grow your business or move into the next business, you'll be able to bolt it to your business instead of
first hire is always the toughest one and the most scary one. But once you do it, you will be like, man, I should have done this so much
way earlier.
Now I am freed up. My mind is free. It's not so cluttered with all these things. I can now be in more of my desire zone, and do the things that only I can do. Have
you talked about that Michael Hyatt quadrant?
No, I don't think we've talked about this on this podcast. We can definitely go into that. Let's jump over into that topic with feeling overwhelmed and frazzled. But yeah, you brought up the Michael Hyatt, his compass, freedom compass from his book. It's in the book about your world-class executive assistant, but it's also in another one of his books. And it's essentially just about, the different zones of work, where you have your drudgery zone. Those are the tasks that you hate to do and aren't good at, all the way up to the tasks that you love to do and are good at. That's like what Gay Hendricks calls the zone of genius in his book, The Big Leap. Hey.
Is your little coworker gonna give us a speech?
He might, but then your desire zone is like your zone of genius. Those things that are you're uniquely qualified to do, and you're really good at as well, and you enjoy. So yeah, let's jump into that, because that's one big reason I wanted to have you on, is just talking about, you've been going through a tough season over the last few months. Me too, with my dad passing away. And I feel like things are falling to the wayside. Tasks aren't getting done. Thank God I have a team for the big stuff, but there's still some things that I have been doing in the past that just aren't getting done as fast. So yeah, let's talk and just let you go with that. Tell me about the season you've been going through, and anything that comes to mind with what we just mentioned with Michael Hyatt's.
Yeah, I think I'm laughing because this is the duality of the situation. If I had a team, like correctly built my business in this crisis time, it would have hindered me and taken my time, but it wouldn't have like ripped the knees out from underneath my business. I'm in the middle of building a new business with you. I'm in the middle of doing a lot of consulting, which was mostly me. I'm in the middle of rehab. These are like major projects that I have going on, not to mention all like the life stuff that comes along with it. But if I had teams in these buckets of projects, none of the projects would have stalled out.
Yeah.
I lost a very close friend to me that we were actually doing deals together. I was repositioning a good amount of money to be able to buy more properties with him. He had cancer. They gave him a 10-year time frame, and then like within a couple of weeks, he passed. So it was like a big shock. The things that we planned on doing, because he was 60, I thought for sure he's going to make it to 80. We were making long-term plans. Then when we got that news, we just kind of moved stuff around. We had a lot of handshake deals, so it was pretty easy to walk that stuff back. It wasn't any legal things that we had to do.
Right.
Then when it like got close to where he passed, it was just like, oh, all the things that I was doing to position to do more with him has completely stopped. And it was just, it really hurt me. I just like needed my own time to just recoup. We had a lot of calls with you, which I really appreciate, and just going like, but I think seeing you go through losing your father, it was just interesting. Like your business didn't stop.
Right.
The post kept on coming. The information kept on coming. Your business kept on running. It was just like, here's why I really need to now at the age that I am focus on building a solid business more than just a solo entrepreneur's journey into whatever the next thing I'm doing, because life is only going to continue to happen. And I don't want to be at that retirement age of 65 and looking back and going, oh, I should have hired more people. I should have set these businesses up different. So I see myself going to that same thing that I was trying to avoid when I was very young, and moving back into that, where it's like, oh, almost all this is on me currently. It hasn't always been that way, but just as of more recently, I've enjoyed the consulting because that's really the thing that I enjoy the most. But now I'm just trying to pivot and going, how can I still scratch that itch of wanting to help people, but build an actual business? Seeing what you were doing with your VAs, I was like, this is very similar to what me and Athena were doing. I think I want to help with that, because now I can, instead of just providing the VAs of doing a job, I can go, hey, we're doing this for you, but tweaking it a little bit this way would make it more profitable, would make it more lucrative, would make it less expensive for you to do XYZ. And we've had calls with people, they tell us how much they're spending on the VAs, and we go, we can help you with that. We have people going, I'm spending this many hours, and we go, we can help you with that. We had a conversation with my church, actually. And it just, one of the people we have a pretty large church, but one of the people there is like, they call him the internet pastor. And it was just like interesting, me and Ryan having a conversation, just, and you do that, and you do that, and you do that. It was just like, he would start laughing. He was like, yeah, there's no way, there's not enough time in the day for me to do all these things. I understand I need help. I don't know where to go or how to get it, because the budget has been splashed, and how we normally solve this, I cannot solve it like that. So then talking to him about VAs was just like, I never even thought of that. That seems amazing. How do we actually build this into? So it's fun helping the church to move in that direction also.
Yes. Wow. So much there we could unpack. Yeah, you said
helping people and getting their time back is a passion for me. It seems like there's a lot of opportunities with the people that we've been having calls with, and that's why I'm getting more excited now and seeing that the crisis doesn't have to cause like a business ending thing if you properly set your business up. And I think having a lot of conversation with you and seeing the success that you're having, going through very similar things that I'm going through, and just going, this is why I like working with Ryan, because he has this stuff. I definitely look up to you. I feel like you've been a mentor to me. So now to be able to work with you with both of these things lining up, where we both like helping people, and now we have teams of people that can also aid. And your constant suggestion of memberships is like, yes, I full stamp that, because I think that's the best way to make money online for a reoccurring monthly money making, and to truly help somebody. Because I have bookshelves of books. I would love to be able to like go and ask those author questions, clarity, understand it more, and go deeper on that subject, but they don't offer any way to do that. So it felt weird in the beginning to have a membership, but then I saw the benefits of it now that I'm in multiple memberships, to go, this is what I want to learn. This is who I want to learn it from. And I get the ability to interact with that person and grow in this piece of information, instead of just reading a book and going, it's my interpretation of this book, instead of going, I'd like to ask a question and get clarity on this. And then how do I use this and apply it to myself and my business?
That's good. You know, you probably read Robert Kiyosaki's book, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He talks about the self-employed person,
investor,
business owner, investor. I would imagine most people listening are that person that's self-employed, that their business is requiring them, if they left for 2 weeks, their business would pause or go down. Now, if you're an Amazon seller, you could still pump a bunch of inventory in. If you have a prep center and you have VAs, you're at a different level. So that's great. Do you feel like that level from going from self-employed to the business owner and even over to investor Is that building a team? Do you feel like it's definitely systems?
He
And
talks about the B
processes.
being like big business. I think
Yeah.
his definition of big business is like hiring and employing.
Mm-hmm.
From a like bigger picture, how the money can come in, how you can use the money, how you can avoid some taxes. I think there's a huge difference between being a self-employed or a business. Like the business entity is different. So I think from that level, yes, you kind of have to have employees. I'm sure there's some big businesses that don't have any employees, but I think that's the exception to the rule, not the rule. But I would say the big business B and the investor side, you have to have a team. Because even in the investing side, like I have multiple financial advisors, I have multiple stock and any kind of asset understanding. There are people that I can go to. I love real estate because I have a large team of older men that see things from my perspective, are able to help me, willing to help me, enjoy helping me. The only reason I'm finding success in that is because I have a team of people over there. If I was trying to invest in real estate and not have that 100-year plus of experience, it would be extremely difficult. And I think the same thing can be said for the business. I think you can do the B by yourself, but it's extremely difficult. And at some point you have to have an accountant. So that's a person. Like you might not be directly employing them as an employee, but they're on your team. So maybe that's the difference. I think you could be an S you could probably do your own taxes as a self-employed too, but to move into a business, you have to have a team. Be that you hiring them as your own employee or a subcontractor, or whatever the case may be. But I think you have to have a team. And maybe that's the definition between the left side of that quadrant and the right side of the quadrant.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about being just frazzled and that we need to talk about? Obviously, we'll share a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to provide VAs for people.
I would say frazzled and unfrazzled is like a state. It's not like you hit a success line. You go like, I'm unfrazzled forever. I would say I've been frazzled and unfrazzled, overwhelmed, and like feeling like I have clarity and money and time and energy and effort, and then something happens. This last crisis was an eye opener to go, okay, at my age that I am, I feel like I should not have had this crisis do this much damage to my business. I due to the pandemic and some other things, I've put myself in this position because I thought it was the best. Now this is another eye opener to go, I need a team. I need to build this back into a business. But I would say if you are doing something, making the money, and that's the current step that you're on, and you are unsatisfied about it or just unhappy with, I would say continue to go with that, but then try to build that into a business. Because I think no matter what you're doing, like if I was doing the carports or the furniture or whatever, I think if at that time we were like, how do we hire this out to get our time back and build this and keep this as a business? The practice of that alone can be a skill that can be duplicated in any industry or field. I think I have done it partially, but leaned on other people heavily to help with this. Now I think it's on me to go, okay, what are the things that I like, don't like, and even the partnerships that I'm having, I try to make it extremely clear. This is what I'm good at. This is what I enjoy. This is what I'm going to spend a lot of time on. But here are the pieces that I am not good at. These are not my strengths. So if you're trying to work with me and these are the things that you're expecting from me, this is not going to work because of here's all my past histories of these failures. They've worked to a certain point, but then they fall apart because of this. Being able to be hypercritical of yourself, I think, is another like entrepreneurial skill. I think the build it, burn it has made me extremely critical of myself to go, I made a mistake here. It wasn't because of pandemic or because of the market or because of somebody else. It was like, I'm taking ownership of this. Now I just want to do it better moving forward. And I think building a business, all of that past information is going to help me to actually build a business and become a unfrazzled entrepreneur where it's being able to, no matter what happens, crisis or not, there is a solid business that's able to run without me. Managers and having team members be on the same boat, the same page is, I think, the ticket to this. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's chat a little bit about what we're doing together.
What I'm most excited about now.
This is really fun. I mean, just because with the Legends group that I have, we started a VA service 3 years ago. 3 years ago, February 2019, we started a virtual assistant service, just looking at the needs of that group. People were asking about VAs, and so we've had legendary VAs for 3+ years now, and that's been awesome, and I love that. But now and that's going to continue. So if you need help with a VA for Amazon, just email me or go to legendaryvas.com, vas.com. But I've been getting more and more people that have asked for, hey, I'm not an Amazon seller, but I need help me to find podcasts that can be a guest on. Can a VA do research for me? Can they put together a list? I have a friend named Kent Julian, who's a public speaker and does keynotes all over the country. And he wanted a VA to help put together association lists. I said, that's easy. They could easily do that. Any type of internet research. I'm getting a lot of people, and you and I have been on calls with folks, and it seems like the biggest theme from people that we talk to are they need help with social media. They need help with growing their email list.
Marketing, for sure.
Absolutely. So if you're listening to this and if you need a VA for anything, just let us know. Just go to wingmanvas.com. That's going to be our new site. And you can get a free download called the Outsourcing Starter Guide. But the key themes that we're seeing from people that we talk to are a lot of them are what I went through a few years ago when I would wake up and think, what am I going to post on social media today? And you're trying to grow your business. You're supposed to be on social media, but gosh, I'm not a graphic designer. I just don't know what to put. All these other big brands and other people that are doing my same thing, or they're out there all the time, and I'm just totally missing the boat here. And so I would spend an hour trying to come up with a post, and it wouldn't look good. And so until I hired a VA, now I will be driving down the road with my wife, and she'll look at the phone like, wow, great post today. And I'm like, I didn't even know what went out. I mean, I have a team that handles that, but they're pulling from my content. So it's not like they have free range to pull from anything on the internet. They're pulling from my own stuff, my podcast or my blog. And so I know it's totally fine, but I don't have to think about that. And that's a huge weight off of my shoulders. And every entrepreneur we've talked to are like, I would love to have a place where, I can just podcast, I can just blog, I can just write my book, I can just create my course, and somebody come along after me and repurpose that content into social media posts to drive traffic back to my offerings. So that's one of the things we're seeing a lot of people need. However, if you need a VA for literally about anything, we can help you, because we've partnered with a whole team in the Philippines that can make that happen. So there's probably not very much that they couldn't do for you. They're not going to podcast for you. They're not going to get on stage for you if you're a public speaker. But pretty much anything else that you need for your business, they can handle. So
there's a lot of pieces that you associate as a whole, like podcasts, like Ryan's saying, and they might not be able to podcast for you. They might not be able to get on the mic, but they can definitely help you with any clarity, editing the audio, editing the video, coming up with a thumbnail, uploading it. There's a lot of different pieces to that. And I think this is as we're having conversations with people, they're lumping a lot of this stuff together where it's, oh no, I'm doing all of this for the church. I can't hand this whole job off. Where it's like, okay, let's break that down and then say, what parts of this are you actually doing and what pieces of this are taking you a long time? Mm-hmm. Marketing as a whole has many different pieces. I think there are custom solutions to some of this stuff where it's like, I hate coming up with the social media post, but like Ryan's team, they're going and pulling from him. He's still in control. It's still his business. He just gives up control of this small piece where it's going through his own content, filling out what he feels like needs to be posted, then driving that traffic to whatever he feels it needs to be. It's just a lot of thought process that goes into it. But if you have a team that understands this is Ryan's business, this is an interesting post, this is an interesting quote, this is an interesting picture, just like the Michael Hyatt thing. I think if whoever the VA listens to this, they'll be able to pull that picture, put it up on social media and go, hey, this is a new thing that Stephen and Ryan talked about. If you're interested to check out the whole podcast, or go over here to the website and check out the free offer. It's stuff that can be done in the background where it feels like it's I had to do all of this, but having conversations with a lot more people now, just making them see, like, even checking your email, feel like you're spending 5 hours a day checking email. All that stuff can be sorted, organized, and then a VA can actually go through and custom feed you the ones that are most important, categorize them, and even get back to people for you has been another huge thing that's giving people their time back.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you just go to wingmanvas.com, we'll get the outsourcing starter guide. That'll really help you think through, it's a workbook essentially that we've created that'll help you think through what jobs and am I doing right? What in my business, what tasks am I doing? And where are they on this zone? Is it something I love to do, I'm good at? Is it something I hate to do and I'm not good at? And then you can just start picking off tasks one by one. And you can even get on a call with our team and they'll help you figure out which ones are going to be the easiest to outsource and what that would look like. So
I guess
we're just excited.
We talked about this a little bit too, is like you talked about how long it took you to get the VA to do the social media, because you were like, it's such a small amount of time. But then you realize like it is actually taking a lot more of your time. It seems like a monumental task to train somebody else to do the thing. But if you look at it, like spending 10 minutes, 20 minutes to make the social media post versus an hour seems like it's not a fair comparison. But if the hour gets that job completely off your plate forever, then you really made a lot more of your time back than the original hour that you've put into it.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. All right. Any other last pieces of advice you'd offer for folks that are feeling frazzled and overwhelmed with all the opportunity, or overwhelmed in their current business, or what would you say?
We're starting a podcast, Unfrazzled Entrepreneur. And I think the hot seats, actually having a lot of these calls publicly to see and help other people, because I think there's a lot of times where you as a business owner just never even thought or heard of or even had any increment that is a possibility of a solution. These are the things that I'd like to get a little bit more public, where it's like, I didn't know I could give access to the emails for somebody else and they could do all this. I didn't know I could just give somebody this limited access on my YouTube channel and they could do all of this stuff with it. And I didn't realize this little thing that I was kind of putting off could turn into a full funnel or something else. Or even talking to you a little bit too about the marketing and just going, have you ever thought about this? Like, just instead of the email sequence going out like this, well, why you have all of these other businesses? Shouldn't they all line up a little bit more? Like, don't you think there's a little more cohesiveness in your business? And then going, oh yeah. And then realizing like, it's not a lot of Ryan's time that goes into this new idea. It's like, that is awesome. Let me reach out to this VA that could do this, or the person that's on the website, or whatever the case may be, and let me implement this strategy. I think that's what really getting your time back allows you to do, is think through your business a little bit more, reach out to other people where you're like, hey, now I have a couple of VAs. How do I use these VAs? This one is doing the social media, but I really don't see the growth that I'm looking for. How do I get them to use this better? How can I set up my business to be a little bit more efficient? The efficiency calls are the things that I think I'm more passionate and enjoyment about, because it actually gets time back and adds to the bottom line. And I think doing that through other people helping you as VAs is like the catapulting piece of growing a lot of these businesses.
And we're going to need that kind of content. So I was literally talking to my person who does my social media for me today, and was telling her about the Unfrazzled Entrepreneur podcast that Steve and I are going to do, and some of the content that's going to come out. We've already recorded the first 5 episodes. And so we're expecting this to launch maybe next week. From the time of this airing, this is March the 30th that we're recording this. But we're going to need people to be on the quote hot seat, or just to be on. We enjoy these calls we've had so far with folks. And so if you want to get a free session with us to help, we could go over that worksheet with you after you filled it out to get an idea of the things you're doing in your business, and just provides like a clarity call essentially on which of those tasks you could outsource pretty easily. And then we'll use that content for the podcast, which would be super cool. And I think it'd be fun to listen to, because, just because you can listen to somebody else's story and hear your own story in it, and get good feedback and glean information and wisdom from that person. The same advice we might give person A, the person listening can get, you use it as well. And
I think that's another thing of having a lot of these calls is it is like how do I get my time back, or how do I pivot? These are the two like main factors for the calls that we're having. I think the advice that we're giving, to me, seems very similar. Like it might be custom fitted for an individual person. Like what are the actual tasks because everybody's passion is a little bit different, but it's the solutions to it is almost like the checklist. It's like,
it is.
Look at your business. What hat are you putting on? How many hours? Is it something you enjoy or don't enjoy? Like the way that we're handling a lot of calls is like procedural to a point.
It is.
And then we go, okay, now that we have all the information, here are suggestions that we think work best for you. Here's something that you might want to consider. You're leaving a lot of the money on the table here. Just like I over the last couple of months have got very passionate about YouTube, and then just seeing like people have very large YouTube channels but are not monetized. They are not driving any traffic from YouTube. They're getting millions of views over there, and just going like, did you know you could turn on monetization just for YouTube? It's like the lowest hanging fruit. It's going to bring in not crazy money, but it is actual extra money. Because even talking to somebody, they were like, hey, I could use that money to do more marketing. And I was like, yeah, you're going to get at least $100, actually $200 to do any kind of pay-per-click ad marketing that you want to do. Here's the money right here. And just having a call. And it's just interesting to see how people have a lot of things, but don't know how to squeeze the money out of those things. And then like reinvest that back.
Sometimes it takes another person to look at your business outside. Like even calls that I get on with you, it's fun because you're asking me questions about my own business that I never thought about that like that or whatever. It's just very helpful to have another person that's outside looking in, ask questions. So
when I go, Ryan, you're telling these people to start memberships all the time. Do you have a business that helps people
I have a business
launch memberships?
I've been doing it. I've been doing it for several years now. So if you want to be on that, if you want to be on a call with us and us use that as a podcast episode, assuming that, turns out okay. And you agree that it's okay for us to share that, just email me, ryan@ryanrieger.com, and we'll consider you for a free clarity type call where we'll go over your business with you and just provide a consultation and show you where you might be able to save a lot of time, get your time back with the help of a VA. So cool. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you. It's been so fun just getting to know you over the last few years and seeing where this thing goes and all the people we're going to be able to help through this. Excited.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again. Even those little pushes of just like, hey, do you think you would get in front of people? Do you think you would teach? And I was like, no. Then you giving me the opportunity and just going, I do like this. So it is, I think having those conversations, meeting with other people, and then just having them suggest things and giving you an opportunity is like, I don't know how to say thank you enough for that, because it's definitely changed the trajectory of my business.
Wow. Very cool. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.